Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Band Together Leadership. My name is Paul Everts. You can reach me at my email address, BAND, the number 2, together, bandtogether at Comcast.net. Also, go to our website, which is conductingmylife.com, where you can buy my book, Conducting My Life, and also go to the curriculum tab. You'll see I'm part of the John Maxwell team. I'm able to coach, speak, train, making better people, because better people make better leaders, and I believe in a hug. So as I get better, you get better, and as you get better, I get better. So please, again, hire me. We have an exciting thing coming to VISALIA. I'm going to mention it at the end of the 15-minute episode we have. We've been working out of John Maxwell's book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. We started this a couple weeks ago. Just so you know, I'm recording this on the 1st of February, 2022 at 9:52 a.m. in California. I currently live 20 miles northeast of Sacramento, California. And we are, this should be March the 8th, 2022. Please, again, go back to the first episode so you can get all 21 laws. I would love you to buy the book. I skim. I don't even give you the real meat. We just get an appetizer. So I would encourage you to buy his book. Dr. Maxwell is a New York Times bestselling author. I've worked with his products since 1997, and he means a lot to me. So please buy his books, and you'll learn a lot. We need to continue to grow as a country, as a nation. That starts with each one of us growing. Please know that I buy books to help me get better. And again, as I get better, people who are with me, who choose to follow me, they all get better. Today, Chapter 8, the Law of Intuition. Again, how this works for the new people. I read a couple pages out of the chapter. I share what I take from the chapter. So the Law of Intuition, get my old man glasses on. Leaders evaluate everything with a leadership bias. Do you remember the old television show Dragnet? If you do, then you probably know the phrase that Jack Webb made famous. He'd say, "Just the facts, ma'am, just the facts." Of all the laws of leadership, the law of intuition is probably the most difficult to understand. Why? Because it depends so much more than just the facts. The law of intuition is based on facts plus instinct and other intangible factors. And the reality is that leadership intuition is often the factor that separates the greatest leaders from the merely good ones. Let Dr. Maxwell recount a vision that he had several years ago with a staff member of his named Tim L. Moore. It will give you some insight into the law of intuition. The best leaders read and the best leaders respond. It occurred when Dr. Maxwell lived in San Diego and 3 players were competing on the Chargers football team for the starting quarterback's position. Tim asked me, Dr. Maxwell, who I thought would secure the job. And without hesitation, Dr. Maxwell said, "Stan Humphries." Yeah, Stan Humphries. Really? I didn't think Stan Humphries had a chance. He's not all that big, and they say he doesn't have a strong work ethic in the weight room. He doesn't really look like a quarterback. Dr. Maxwell replied, "That doesn't matter. He's a better leader. Watch Stan play, and you'll see that he has the ability to read just about any situation, call the right play, and pull it off. He's the one. He'll get the job." And sure enough, Stan gets the job. He was so good, he was able to lead a fairly weak San Diego team to the Super Bowl in 1995. All professional quarterbacks have physical talent. At the pro level, the differences in physical ability really are not that significant. What makes one man a third-string backup and another a Hall of Famer is intuition. The great ones can see things others cannot, make changes, and move forward before others know what's happening. It's informed intuition. Several years ago, Dr. Maxwell learned a lot about how quarterbacks are trained to think when he visited University of Southern California and he talked to Larry Smith. Dr. Maxwell asked me, so that'd be Coach Smith, asked me to speak to the Trojans football team for a big game. While Dr. Maxwell was there, He also visited their offensive war room. On chalkboards covering every wall, the coaches had mapped out every possible situation their team could be in, according to down, according to yardage and place on the field. And for every situation, the coaches had mapped out a specific play designed to succeed, based on their years of experience and their intuitive knowledge of the game. Together, those plays constituted the approach and bias they would take into the game in order to win it. The three USC quarterbacks had to memorize every one of those plays. The night before the game, Dr. Maxwell watched as the coaches fired one situation after another at those three young men, requiring them to tell which play was the right one to be called. After they were finished, Dr. Maxwell noticed that the offensive coordinator headed for a cot in the war room, and Dr. Maxwell said, "Aren't you going to go home and get some sleep?" He said, "No. I always spend Friday night here to make sure that I know all the plays too." Dr. Maxwell responds, "Yeah, but you got them all written down on that sheet of paper. You'll carry with that. You'll have that on the sidelines tomorrow. Why don't you just use that?" Coach answers, "I can't rely on that. There isn't time. You see, by the time the ball carrier's knee touches the ground, I, the coach, I have to know what play to call next. There's no time to fumble around deciding what to do." It was his job to put the coaching staff's intuition into action in an instant. Leadership is their bias. The kind of informed intuition that coaches and quarterbacks have on game day is similar to what leaders exhibit. Leaders see everything with a leadership bias, and as a result, they instinctively, almost automatically know what to do. You can see this read and react instinct in all great leaders. For example, look at the career of U.S. Army General H. Norman Schwarzkopf. Time after time, General Schwarzkopf was assigned commands that others avoided, but he was able to turn the situations around as a result of his exceptional leadership, intuition, and ability to act. When General Schwarzkopf had been in the Army 17 years, he finally got his chance to command a battalion. It occurred in December 1969 during his second tour of Vietnam as a lieutenant colonel. The command, which nobody wanted, was the 1st Battalion of the 6th Infantry, called the 1st of the 6th. But because the group had such a horrible reputation, it was nicknamed the worst of the 6th. Confirming this was the fact that as he took command, General Schwarzkopf was told that the battalion had just flunked an annual inspection. They had scored an abysmal 16 out of 100 points. General Schwarzkopf had only 30 days to whip these men into shape, seeing through a leadership lens. After the change in command ceremony, Schwarzkopf met the outgoing commander who told him, "This is for you," handing him a bottle of scotch. "You're going to need it." "Well, I hope you do better than I did. I tried to lead as best I could, but this is a lousy battalion. It's got lousy morale. It's got a lousy mission. Yeah, good luck to you." And with that, he left. General Schwarzkopf's intuition told him that the face of a terrible situation, but it was even worse than he had expected. His predecessor hadn't known the first thing about leadership. The man had never ventured outside the safety of the base camp to inspect his troops, and the results were appalling. The entire battalion was in chaos. The officers were indifferent. The most basic military insecurity procedures weren't being followed, and soldiers were dying needlessly. The departing commander was right. It was a lousy battalion with lousy morale, but he didn't say that it was his fault. Based on Schwarzkopf's description, it's obvious that the previous commander had displayed no ability to read the situation, and he had failed his people as a leader. During the next few weeks, General Schwarzkopf's intuition kicked in, and he took action. He implemented military procedures, retrained the troops, developed his leaders, and gave the men direction and a sense of purpose. When it was time for the 30-day inspection, they achieved a passing score. And then the men started to think themselves, hey, we can do it right. We can be a success. We're not the worst of the sixth anymore. As a result, fewer men died, morale rose, and the battalion started to become effective in its mission. General Schwarzkopf's leadership was so strong and the turnaround was so effective that just a few months after he took it over, his battalion was selected to perform more difficult missions. The kind that could be carried out only by a disciplined, well-led group with strong morale. So here's some things to think about. How a leader thinks. Leaders are readers of their situation. In all kinds of circumstances, they capture details that elude others. For example, when Dr. Maxwell was the senior pastor at Skyline, his church in San Diego, there were times when he was required to travel for long periods of time. Often, when he returned after being gone for 10 to 14 days, Dr. Maxwell could tell something was going on. He could feel it. And usually in an hour or so of talking with staff and getting the pulse of what was going on, he'd be able to track it down. Leaders are readers of trends. Everything happens around us does so in the context of a bigger picture. Leaders have the ability to step back from what's happening at the moment and see not only where they and their people have gone, but also where they are headed in the future. It's as if they can smell change in the wind. Leaders are readers of their resources. Successful leaders see every situation in terms of available resources, money, raw materials, technology, and most important, people. They never forget that people are their greatest asset. Leaders are readers of people. President Lyndon Johnson once said that when you walk into a room, if you cannot tell who is for you and who is against you, you don't belong in politics. That statement also applies to leadership. Intuitive leaders, remember we're talking about the law of intuition, intuitive leaders can sense what's happening among people and almost instantly know their hopes, fears, and concerns. Leaders are readers of themselves. James Russell Lavelle said, "No one can produce great things who is not thoroughly sincere in dealing with himself." And then just real quick, because again, I'm not going to read paragraph by paragraph, word by word. There are 3 levels of leadership intuition. 1 is those who naturally see it. 2, those who are nurtured to see it. 3, those who will never see it. Dr. Maxwell believes nearly everyone is capable of developing leadership skills and intuition, but occasionally Dr. Maxwell runs across someone who does not seem to have a leadership bone in his or her body and who has no interest in developing the skills necessary to lead. Those people will never think like anything but their followers. Those people will never think like anything but their followers. And then leaders solve problems using the law of intuition. When leaders find themselves facing a problem, they automatically measure it and begin solving it using the law of intuition. Hope that helps somebody today. Making the announcement about Dear VISALIA. Again, on January 28th, I met 6 to 8 people. We came up with a great idea. Let's bring return John Maxwell to VISALIA. So on the 29th of April at Cafe 210, boom, we're going to work with teenagers, I hope. This is Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn for teenagers. Again, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., April 29th, Cafe 210. The building we're going to do April 30th is the First Presbyterian Church of Visalia, but it's a building. They are not sponsoring this. This is meant for the entire community of adults, leaders, business leaders. I hope you'll take advantage of this. This is John Maxwell's The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. This will be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. As of February 1st, when I record this, we had no price yet. So go to my website, conductingmylife.com. There should be registration by then. There should be a price breakdown. Love to have you. Again, this is Band Together, Visalia, April 29th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. for teenagers. And then April 30th, Saturday, from 9 to 3. Registration starts at 8. There's the 15-minute mark. Begin with the end in mind. Every choice you make is who you are. Seek first to understand, then be understood. And finally, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I care about you, and I love you, and that's why I do this. Hope it helps somebody. Have a great day. Bye.